The silverware clinked against my mother's expensive china as I sat at the dinner table, trying to enjoy my meal. My parents, Rebecca and Thomas, sat at opposite ends, while my two siblings, Noah and Olivia, flanked the sides. I should have known something was up when Mom insisted I come over for family time on a random Tuesday evening. "So, we've been talking," Mom said, setting down her wine glass with a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. "We've decided to take a family trip to Italy this summer. 2 weeks in Rome, Florence, and the Amalfi Coast." I looked up from my plate. "That sounds nice. When are you planning to go?" Noah laughed, exchanging glances with Olivia. "We're going in July. All of us." "Oh," I said, feeling my stomach tighten. "I'm not sure I can get that much time off work." "Don't worry about that," Dad interrupted. "We've already looked at the dates. But there's one thing we need to discuss." He paused dramatically. "We need you to cover the costs." The room fell silent except for the ticking of the grandfather clock in the corner. I blinked, convinced I'd misheard. "I'm sorry, what?" Olivia rolled her eyes. "Come on, Madison. You're the one with all the money. You work at that fancy tech company, make 6 figures. We're family. This is what family does." "Yeah," Noah added, leaning back in his chair. "Mom and Dad raised us, sacrificed everything. Olivia just had her 3rd kid, and I'm still paying off my car. You're the only one who can afford it." My hands trembled slightly as I set down my fork. "I don't understand. This is a huge expense. Why didn't anyone ask me first before planning everything?" "Because we knew you'd make excuses," Mom said, her voice taking on that disappointed tone I'd heard my whole life. "You've always been selfish with your money, Madison. Ever since you got that big promotion." "Selfish?" The word stung. "I just bought you that new refrigerator last month, Mom. And we appreciated it," Dad said smoothly. "This is different. This is about family memories. Unless you don't care about making memories with us." The guilt settled over me like a heavy blanket. I stumbled through the rest of dinner in a daze. By the time dessert came around, I'd somehow agreed to pay for everything. The words, "yes, of course," had tumbled out of my mouth before I could stop them, triggered by the endless cycle of guilt and obligation they'd perfected over the years. When I finally escaped to my car, I sat in the driveway with my hands gripping the steering wheel. My reflection in the rearview mirror showed a 32-year-old woman who looked exhausted. I'd worked so hard to get where I was, scholarships through college because they couldn't help, student loans I'd paid off myself, 60-hour weeks to climb the corporate ladder. And now I was supposed to fund their luxury vacation. I drove home replaying their smug expressions. The way Noah had smirked when I agreed. How Olivia had immediately pulled out her phone to text her friends. Mom's satisfied nod, as if she'd won a negotiation. Dad's casual, "I knew you'd come through." Not once had anyone said thank you. Not once had they asked if I could actually afford it. They just assumed my bank account was their family fund, available whenever they demanded it. The next morning, I met my best friend Carmen for coffee. I must have looked terrible because she took one look at me and said, "What happened?" I told her everything. The ambush dinner, the guilt trip, the expectations. Carmen listened without interrupting, her expression growing darker with each detail. When I finished, she set down her cup with a sharp clink. "Madison, they don't respect you. They exploit you." The words hit me like cold water. "They're my family." "Family doesn't treat you like a walking ATM," Carmen cut in. "Think about it. When was the last time any of them asked about your life? Your job? Whether you're happy? They only call when they need something." I opened my mouth to argue but couldn't. She was right. Every conversation was the same pattern, small talk for 30 seconds, then the ask. A loan for Noah's business opportunity. Olivia's kids' school supplies. Mom's car repairs. Dad's golf club membership. You've given them thousands over the years, Carmen continued. Have they ever paid you back? Ever offered? Their family, I repeated weakly. Then they should act like it, Carmen said firmly. They don't get to demand a luxury vacation and treat you like garbage. Her words echoed in my head all day. That evening, an email from Mom appeared in my inbox with the subject line, Italy trip, details and costs. My stomach dropped as I opened it. She'd attached a full itinerary spanning 15 pages. First-class flights for all 5 of them. A luxury hotel in Rome with a rooftop pool. A private villa in Tuscany. Guided tours of the Vatican, the Colosseum, and the Uffizi Gallery. Reservations at Michelin-starred restaurants. The breakdown at the end made my breath catch. $47,000. $47,000. For 2 weeks. 4 people who'd called me selfish at dinner. The email was written like a business memo, not a request from family. No, if this works for you, or, we understand if it's too much. Just facts and figures and expectations. At the bottom, Mom had written, please confirm payment by Friday so we can finalize everything. We're so excited. This will be the trip of a lifetime. I stared at the screen, rage building in my chest. The trip of a lifetime, funded by someone they'd barely thanked. I noticed they'd upgraded themselves to premium everything while assuming I'd just foot the bill without question. My cursor hovered over the reply button, but I couldn't type. Friday came. I transferred the money. All $47,000 went from my account to the travel agency handling their bookings. I watched my savings drop and felt something cold settle in my chest. But I made sure to get copies of everything, receipts, confirmation numbers, booking references. Every single document was forwarded to my personal email and saved in a dedicated folder. The bookings were all under my name as the purchaser. I was the account holder, the primary contact, the one with cancellation rights. I wasn't sure why I was being so careful with the paperwork. Some instinct told me to cover my bases, to maintain control even as I surrendered the money. The old Madison would have just paid and forgotten about it, swallowing her resentment. But something had shifted after Carmen's words. When I clicked the final, confirm payment button, I didn't feel generous or loving. I felt calculated. Cold. Like I was setting pieces on a chessboard I didn't yet know I was playing. Mom texted an hour later. Got the confirmation. Thank you, sweetie. 2 words of gratitude for $47,000. I didn't respond. 3 days later, a new group chat appeared on my phone, Italy Vacation Squad. I watched the messages roll in. Noah, first thing I'm doing is buying a leather jacket in Florence. Olivia, I'm getting so much wine. And shoes. Italian shoes are everything. Mom, I've already started a packing list. Thomas, did you get that new camera? Dad, ordered it yesterday. This trip is going to be incredible. I scrolled through 50 messages. Not one mentioned me. Not, thanks to Madison, or, couldn't do this without her. Just excitement about what they'd buy, eat, and experience with money I'd earned. Olivia sent a photo of her kids with the caption, told them Aunt Madison is sending us to Italy. Even that felt wrong. Not, Aunt Madison is taking us, or Aunt Madison made this possible. Sending. Like I was a bank transfer, not a person. They all sent laughing emojis. I stared at my phone, jaw clenched. That's what I was to them, the rich sister. Not Madison who worked 80-hour weeks during product launches. Not Madison who'd missed holidays and birthdays to meet deadlines. Just a wallet with a name. The group chat continued for days. I'd muted it but kept checking, like pressing on a bruise to confirm it still hurt. Each message was a fresh reminder that I wasn't family, I was a resource. Then Noah sent the message that broke something inside me. Madison, you're finally useful for something, face with tears of joy. He'd tagged me directly, making sure I saw it. Olivia replied with crying laughing emojis. Mom sent a Noah, with her own laughing emoji, the kind of weak scolding that meant she found it funny too. Dad didn't respond at all, which somehow felt worse. I sat on my couch, phone in hand, and felt years of resentment crystallize into clarity. Every time I'd helped and been taken for granted. Every family dinner where they'd mocked my career or called me Corporate Madison like it was an insult. Every call that was really just a request for money disguised as catching up. Carmen's words came back, "They exploit you." She was right. And I was done. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying Noah's message, the casual cruelty of it. The way they'd all laughed. If I'd said something like that about any of them, I'd be called heartless. But when it was directed at me, it was just a joke. I decided I wasn't going to be the punchline anymore. Over the next week, a plan formed in my mind. Not revenge exactly, that felt too vindictive. But justice. A way to stop being their personal bank while teaching them a lesson they desperately needed. I started researching. Airline policies, hotel cancellation terms, refund procedures. I learned that as the primary account holder and purchaser, I had full control over the bookings. I could modify or cancel anything I'd paid for, and the refunds would come directly back to me. The key was timing. Too early and they'd have time to scramble and rebook, maybe even pressure me into paying again. Too late and I'd feel guilty about the last-minute chaos. I needed the perfect moment, close enough to hurt, but with enough time for them to recover if they really wanted to solve it themselves. The thought should have made me anxious, but instead I felt calm. Purposeful. For the first time in years, I was taking control of a situation instead of being controlled by obligation and guilt. If you're enjoying this story of standing up to entitled family members, please subscribe to see how this unfolds. I made notes, documented everything, and waited. They had no idea that the money they'd already spent in their minds wasn't theirs at all. It was mine, and I was about to take it back. At work the following Tuesday, I was getting coffee in the break room when I overheard my colleague, Nina, talking to someone on the phone. Her voice carried that special enthusiasm people have when they're involved in something meaningful. "Yes, we're hoping to send 20 kids to summer camp this year," she said. "Most of them have never been outside the city, let alone experienced a week in nature. We're still $45,000 short of our goal, but we're not giving up." She hung up and noticed me. "Sorry, was I too loud?" "No, what's the program?" I asked. Nina's face brightened. "It's a nonprofit I volunteer with. Bright Futures helps underprivileged kids get experiences they'd never otherwise have. This summer we're sending them to a camp upstate, swimming, hiking, arts and crafts. For most of these kids, it'll be their first real vacation ever." Something clicked in my mind. Kids who'd never had a vacation. My family demanding luxury they didn't need and hadn't earned. The contrast was stark and perfect. "Tell me more," I said, sitting down. Nina explained how the program worked, showing me pictures from previous years. Kids' faces lit up with joy, many of them from foster care or low-income families. I walked back to my desk with a new sense of purpose. I knew exactly what I was going to do with that $47,000. That evening, I called the airline first. The customer service representative sounded bored until I explained what I needed. "I'd like to modify my bookings to ensure they're fully refundable," I said. "All 5 tickets under confirmation number Q7R4M88X. "Let me check." "Okay, I can change these to flexible fares. There's a fee for each ticket, but you'll have full refund rights up to 24 hours before departure." "Perfect. Do it." The fee was $800 total, a small price for insurance. Next, I called the hotel in Rome and the villa rental in Tuscany. Both companies had premium cancellation packages available. For another $500, I could cancel anything up to 48 hours before check-in with full refunds. "Are you sure?" the hotel manager asked. "Most people don't need that level of flexibility." "I'm sure," I said firmly. By midnight, everything was arranged. My family's dream vacation was built on a foundation I could collapse with a few phone calls. They had no idea. The booking still looked confirmed from their end, but I'd quietly given myself an exit plan. The only booking I left non-refundable was my own, because I'd never actually planned to go. They hadn't even asked if I wanted to join them. June melted into early July. The Italy trip was scheduled for July 15th. My phone blew up daily with updates from the Vacation Squad chat. Olivia posted photos of her new suitcases, bought these specifically for Italy. For matching pieces. Mom shared screenshots of restaurant menus. We're definitely trying this place. Truffle pasta. Dad sent pictures of his new camera equipment, ready to capture every moment. Noah just sent selfies at the gym, getting vacation ready. They sent packing lists, outfit ideas, and countdowns. The enthusiasm was overwhelming and hollow, none of it acknowledged where the money came from. I sat at my desk at work, watching the messages appear, and smiled. They were so confident, so secure in their entitlement. They'd never once considered that I might change my mind. 2 weeks before departure, Olivia texted privately, "Can you send me another $500? The kids need summer clothes for the trip." I sent it. Not because I wanted to, but because I was still playing the role. The compliant sister, the family ATM. I needed them to believe nothing had changed until the perfect moment. "Thanks," she replied. No explanation of why her kids' summer clothes were my responsibility. Just expectation fulfilled. 10 days before the flight, Dad called me at work. I almost didn't answer, but something told me to pick up. "Madison, quick question," he said, not bothering with hello. "Your mother and I decided to upgrade our room at the Rome Hotel. We want the penthouse suite for the first 3 nights. Can you call them and put it on your card?" My grip tightened on the phone. The penthouse? It has a terrace overlooking the city. We deserve something special, don't you think? After raising 3 kids. The audacity was breathtaking. "How much is the upgrade?" "I think around $3,000. Not much in the grand scheme of things." Not much. $3,000 was not much to him because it wasn't his money. "Sure, Dad," I said sweetly. "I'll handle it." "Knew we could count on you," he said and hung up without saying goodbye. I didn't call the hotel. Instead, I opened the Bright Futures website and made a note, add $3,000 to the donation. Dad's penthouse upgrade would send 3 more kids to camp. Over the next week, there were more requests. Noah needed spending money, $800. Mom wanted to book an extra private tour, $200. Each demand was met with my calm agreement and a mental addition to my charity donation. They had no idea they were funding their own replacement. The night before their flight, the family organized a video call to celebrate. I joined from my apartment, watching their excited faces fill my screen. "I can't believe it's finally happening." Mom gushed, holding up a glass of wine. "Tomorrow at this time, we'll be in the air." "First class all the way," Noah said, smiling at the camera. "Thanks to our generous sister." It was the first time anyone had acknowledged me in weeks. I forced a smile. Olivia's kids ran around in the background screaming about pizza and gelato. Dad showed off his camera bag. Mom listed all the things she'd packed and repacked. The energy was infectious, and for a brief moment, I felt a pang of doubt. Was I really going to do this? Then Noah said, "Too bad you're not coming, Madison. But honestly, we'll have more fun without you. You're always so serious about money." They all laughed. Mom added, "He's not wrong, honey. You can be a bit uptight." The doubt evaporated. I smiled wider. "Have a wonderful trip," I said. "Truly. I hope it's everything you've dreamed of." "It will be," Olivia said. "Thanks for making it happen." After we hung up, I sat in the silence of my apartment. They were going to bed excited, already imagining themselves in Italy. Their suitcases were packed, documents printed, outfits chosen. By morning, everything would change. My alarm went off at 5 a.m. Their flight was scheduled for 1 p.m., which meant they'd leave for the airport around 10 a.m. I had a 5-hour window. I made coffee, opened my laptop, and pulled up the folder labeled Italy Trip, Confirmations. First, the airline. I navigated to the booking management page and entered the confirmation number. 5 first-class tickets appeared on screen, each showing my family's names. My cursor hovered over the Cancel Reservation button. 1 click. That's all it would take. I thought about Noah calling me, finally useful. About Mom's casual dismissal of my concerns. About Dad's expectation that I'd just keep paying for upgrades. About Olivia treating me like a credit card with a sister's name. I clicked. Are you sure you want to cancel this reservation? This action cannot be undone. I was sure. I clicked confirm. Your cancellation has been processed. Refund of $28,000 will be issued to the original payment method within 7 to 10 business days. Next, the hotel. Same process. Cancel. Confirm. Refund, $12,000. The villa rental. Cancel. Confirm. Refund, $7,000. The tours, the restaurant reservations that required deposits, the private driver service. One by one, I dismantled their dream vacation. By 6:30 a.m., it was done. $47,000 in refunds processing. My family's plans erased. I closed my laptop and finished my coffee, feeling calmer than I had in months. At 9 a.m., I walked into the Bright Futures office. Nina looked surprised to see me. Madison? What are you doing here? I handed her an envelope. I want to make a donation. For the summer camp program. She opened it and her eyes widened at the check inside. This is $47,000. It should cover the shortfall and then some, I said. I want those 20 kids to have the trip of their lives. And if there's money left over, send more kids. Send kids who've never had a vacation, never experienced something special. Send kids who'll actually appreciate it. Nina's eyes filled with tears. Madison, this is incredible. Do you know how many lives you'll change? I did know. 20 kids would get an experience they'd never forget, funded by money that would have been wasted on people who'd never say thank you. The math felt right. There's one condition, I added. Can you document the trip? Photos, videos, maybe some testimonials from the kids. I'd like to see where the money went. Absolutely, Nina promised, hugging me. We'll make sure you know every detail. I left the office feeling lighter. The money was gone from my account, yes, but now it was doing something good. Something meaningful. Better than funding penthouse suites and leather jackets for people who saw me as an ATM. At 10:47 a.m., my phone started ringing. Mom first. I didn't answer. Then Dad. Declined. Noah, Olivia, Mom again. A string of calls I let go to voicemail. I was at a coffee shop near the Bright Futures office, watching my phone light up repeatedly. Each call felt like a small victory. At 11:15, a voicemail from Mom, Madison, there's some problem with the flights. They're saying the tickets were canceled. This has to be a mistake. Call me back immediately. At 11:30, Dad's voicemail, angry. Whatever's going on with these reservations, you need to fix it now. We're at the airport and they're saying we don't have tickets. This is unacceptable. At 11:45, Noah, furious. Are you kidding me right now? Did you actually cancel our trip? Call me back or I swear. I sipped my latte and waited. They'd figure it out soon. The cancellations weren't a glitch or a mistake. They were deliberate, and eventually, they'd realize that. At 12:10, Olivia left a voicemail that was half crying, half yelling, "My kids are devastated. They thought we were going to Italy. How could you do this? Simple, I thought. The same way you could take $47,000 without appreciating it. The same way Noah could call me finally useful, and you could all laugh. The group chat exploded. Noah, she canceled everything. Olivia, I can't believe this. We're at the airport with all our bags and no flights. Mom, Madison Grace Thompson, you call me right now. Dad, this is theft. You can't just take back a gift. Noah, this is the most selfish thing anyone has ever done. Olivia, my kids are crying. You've traumatized children. Mom, after everything we've done for you. Raised you. Loved you. This is how you repay us? Noah, everyone's staring at us. We look like idiots. Dad. You're no longer welcome in this family. Olivia, I always knew you were cold, but this is next level. The messages came faster than I could read them. Anger, disbelief, accusations, threats. I watched the chat scroll by, feeling nothing but a strange sense of peace. They were outraged that I'd taken back my own money. Not sorry they'd treated me badly. Not reflective about their behavior. Just angry they'd lost access to my bank account. Noah sent a text directly to me, "You're dead to me." I typed back, "Okay," and put my phone on silent. The barista called my name for a refill. I stood up, pocketed my phone, and got more coffee. Outside the window, life continued. The world didn't end because I'd finally set a boundary. At 7 p.m., my laptop chimed with an incoming video call. The family group account. They were calling together, probably huddled around someone's phone. I let it ring twice before answering. All four of them filled the screen, sitting in what looked like my parents' living room. Their faces were varying shades of red. "We deserve an explanation," Mom said coldly. I looked at them calmly. "Okay." I decided to donate the money to charity instead. Silence. Then Dad exploded. "You decided? That money was for us. You promised." "I paid for a trip," I said evenly. "But I realized the money would be better used elsewhere. So I donated it to Bright Futures, a nonprofit that sends underprivileged kids to summer camp. 20 children who've never had a vacation will now get one. Kids who'll actually appreciate it." "This is insane," Noah said. "You can't just take back a gift." "It wasn't a gift," I replied. "A gift is given freely, with love. You demanded it, took it for granted, and never once said thank you in a meaningful way. You called me selfish, mocked me, and made it clear I was only valuable for my money. So I gave that money to people who deserve it. We're your family." Olivia shouted. "Then act like it," I said simply. "You're punishing us." Mom's voice shook. "For what? For wanting to spend time together as a family?" "No," I said. "For treating me like an ATM. For guilt-tripping me into paying $47,000 for a luxury vacation I was never even invited on as a participant, only as a bank. For Noah saying I was finally useful for something and all of you laughing." Noah's face flushed. "That was a joke." "Jokes are funny," I interrupted. "That was cruelty. And it was just the latest in years of taking me for granted. Every call is asking for money. Every dinner is a guilt trip. You don't ask about my life, my job, my happiness. You just take and expect me to smile about it." "That's not fair," Olivia said, but her voice wavered. "What's not fair is expecting me to fund your lifestyle while treating me with contempt," I continued. "What's not fair is upgrading your rooms on my dime without asking. What's not fair is watching you plan an entire vacation in a group chat where you never once acknowledged who paid for it." Dad tried a different approach. "We can talk about this. If you felt unappreciated." "I don't feel unappreciated, Dad. I am unappreciated. And I'm done accepting it." The call went silent. They'd expected me to cave, to apologize, to fix it. Instead, I was holding firm, and they had no script for this version of me. The money is donated, I said. It's final. I hope you all have a good evening. I ended the call before they could respond. 24. 3 weeks passed in relative quiet, the chat notifications slowed and then stopped. I threw myself into work and spent evenings with friends who actually valued me as a person, not a resource. Then, on a Sunday afternoon, my phone rang. Mom. I almost didn't answer. But something made me pick up. Hello? Madison. Her voice was different, smaller, less certain. Do you have a minute? I'm listening. Your father and we've been doing a lot of thinking. And talking. We wanted to apologize. I said nothing, waiting. We didn't realize how we'd been treating you, she continued. We took you for granted. We made assumptions about your money and your willingness to help without ever considering your feelings. That was wrong. Yes, it was, I agreed quietly. Dad's voice joined in, they had me on speaker. We're sorry, Madison. We've been selfish. We got caught up in the excitement and forgot to appreciate you as our daughter, not just as someone who could afford things we wanted. It was the most self-aware thing I'd ever heard from them. But I wasn't naive enough to think one apology fixed years of behavior. I appreciate you saying that, I said. But I need to be clear, things can't go back to how they were. I love you, but I won't be treated as a family bank anymore. We understand, Mom said. We'd like to rebuild, if you're willing. On better terms. I thought about it. Forgiveness didn't mean forgetting. It didn't mean erasing boundaries. I'm willing to try, I said finally. But it'll take time. And it requires real change, not just words. We'll do better, Dad promised. I hoped he meant it. But I also knew I'd be fine either way. I'd already proven I could stand on my own. 2 months later, I took a vacation. Alone. I drove upstate to a cabin I'd rented near the mountains. No luxury resorts, no first-class flights, just quiet woods, a lake, and time to myself. I spent 5 days hiking, reading, and sitting on the porch with coffee while the morning mist rolled over the water. It was perfect. My family had been slowly improving. Small steps, they asked about my life now, showed interest in my work, stopped making financial requests. Mom had sent flowers with a note, "Thank you for being patient with us." Noah had called to genuinely apologize for his comment, admitting he'd been jealous of my success and took it out in cruel ways. Olivia and I were still working on things. Dad was trying but still defaulted to old patterns sometimes. It was messy and imperfect, but it was progress. Nina had sent photos from the camp. 25 kids splashing in a lake, roasting marshmallows, learning to canoe. Their smiles were genuine, unspoiled by entitlement. One girl had written me a thank you card, "I've never been anywhere this beautiful. Thank you for giving." If this story hits close to home, smash that subscribe button right now. Let me know in the comments. Have you ever faced an entitled family member who thought your money was their money? I want to hear your worst story. Share this with every woman who needs to know that her worth isn't defined by anyone else. Hit the notification bell because my next story is even more incredible, you won't want to miss it. Subscribe now and join a community of strong, unstoppable people who know their value. Thanks for watching.